What up, random rockers? Welcome back to Random Rock and Riffs and Reviews. I'm a little quiet because I got folks back upstairs, even though the music says otherwise. I'm tick 2, I guess. If you kind of like more progressive but extreme sort of metal, like another alpha favorite of mine from last year, pretty well Tesseract, but with a little bit more of like your Kill Switch Engage, Bullet for My Valentine type of, and maybe a little Lamb of God-ish kind of metalcore sound, then Textures is your band. They've had 3-4 albums prior to this one. I think that's how many. And this is the first half of an album, of a 2-part album that they will be doing, with the second half being released, PHENOTYPE being released next year. The question is it worth it? Is it worth the purchase, ladies and gentlemen? And the answer is absolutely. Oceans Collide, from the moment you hear it, it's pretty darn heavy. But it's its follow-up track, New Horizons, that's really solid too. I mean, yes, it's definitely quite a brutal album, and it definitely has its very interesting progressive moments, from the more ambience, even a couple of nice instrumental pieces, being Meander, which has very drum eccentric, Game of Thrones, somewhat Game of Thrones-ish sort of war drums kind of vibe, with the more very thunderous and bombastic, whereas the more I'm losing my thought again. Whereas the more progressive styles like Opeth and more tech death and the band has relied on not just straight up progressive metal and metalcore influences, but also groove metal and technical death metal or progressive death metal. So more in like Meshuggah or Opeth, for example. And of course other groups, maybe Pantera, Sepultura, or even to some extent of Lamb of God, maybe, or something of that nature. If you like any of those bands, I think especially something more like Tesseract's. Definitely for metalheads out there, just check this out. It's really extremely wonderful. For listen, and tracks like Oceans Collide, New Horizons. I'm not entirely sure where the concept is supposedly going, but if anything at all. But it's definitely, the Zeman is definitely a great ambient little thing, leading into the final track, Timeless. Most of it is very cathartic about how they do their style. It's definitely somewhat, you could say that there are similarities to, there's some Toolish stuff here and there, I guess, but there's nothing too like Faith No More-ish or anything like that. It's pretty well more metalcore than anything, compared to most progressive metal that is more into the power or alternative-based formats that go within progressive metal, or their style seems somewhat genty, like, of course, Tesseract, but more into post-metal, like another example being somewhat like Intronaut, or maybe I would almost kind of sort of say ISIS, but these guys have better use of clean vocals than anything as opposed to ISIS. So maybe more Baroness, like early Baroness or Mastodon or something of that nature, I guess. Yes. And that's kind of, if you prefer that kind of style, Textures is definitely something to check out. And this is the first track, Oceans Collide, moment, of course. With the moment it roars in, you know you're in for something heavy. But they definitely know how to bring in some interesting clean, though a little gruff, even when it's clean. It definitely still works, and it definitely can soar a little bit. Maybe not as well as William Holland, I believe is his name, from Tesseract, but yeah. It's dang good. It's surprising. Personally, I didn't like it at first. with New Horizons and stuff, but eventually I somehow managed to adjust to it. Of course, after having listened to another particular band that I will eventually get into for a couple announcements on that before we go. I'm going to need to officially do a new I'm officially going to try to do some other segments, try to kind of make it easier for me to just, instead of depending on if it's interesting enough, I'll do it album by album. If not, I'll just do like something different and out of the box interesting. Something, of course, random, like what this channel is supposed to be. And maybe one of these days I'll also, finally have a proper introduction to myself and why I did this and why I'm doing what I'm doing now. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that, and I haven't really gotten too many people noticed for what I was hoping my plan would be. Nothing ever goes planned for me, and the quality of these reviews and the timing, you'd think with the timing it'd have a lot more quality to it, but no. It's just, that's how it happens when you have to rely on a budget when you do stuff like this. And use more of it on trying to get albums like this and check out other things. The question is this worth buying and checking and waiting and checking out and anticipating their next record and maybe going back to their earlier stuff to see what they sounded like leading up to this? Yes, it is. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, Texture's PHENOTYPE definitely deserves to go where it belongs. With the guitars, on the guitar amp, because it rocks. Just like Steven Wilson and Ignite. And this album here, because it was one of my best of 2015. There's no Steven Wilson from last year, with last year's Hank and Ida race, but it's damn close. And for being somewhat metal, it's pretty damn good. And being as close to satisfying some of that Tool itch that I needed. That I ever so needed. Oh, I'm still waiting on that too. When it comes out, it better not disappoint. But yeah, if you've been keeping up with my personal Facebook page, and amongst other things, you'd also know we figured out when Tremonti's going to have a new record. I will definitely review that, but before I do that, I'm going to have a couple other things to do. And between all those times, I'm going to make a few other announcements. I'm just in a weird place, guys, alright? I want to really bring it out and try to actually show what this entire thing has been about, but I've never had the chance to properly do that, and I apologize for that. This may not be as enthusiastic as I was hoping it would be. My other one was a little bit, but right now, I don't know. All I know, guys, is it's until stuff gets. I'm still gonna do this. I want to do it 110%, and I'm not sure if I can, but I will do it anyway because part of it is because I have to, and I want to be excited about it. I want to be passionate about it, and hopefully by April, that passion will show and it won't die down by the time I get into really good stuff. In fact, there's some things I'd also like to mention. Flyleaf for this month's honorable mention. There's some other albums I want to discuss eventually when the time comes. Especially this week, I believe I'm hearing good on a band called Hands Like Houses and their album Dissonant. I might do something with a review on that one. Be the first time and dip my pool into that band's discography and see where that goes. Theater's Down's got something new. Brian Fallon's solo album Painkiller will come out that same week. I may do Killswitch Engage. I don't know if I will. But other than that, pretty well April. Other than that, I'll probably do some discography things here and there as well. probably a new little segment that I'll come up with. Probably call it this one for this specific stuff with albums. It'll be called Random Rock Countdown. Or yeah, and then I think I'll do a random reel. I don't know if I'll do a random reel countdown or not, but I'll just stick with random rock for now. It seems I'll do with that with the albums and go from there, guys. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed this review and the announcements I had, and hopefully comment if you like. Please, if you like this video, just smash the damn like button. Leave me some comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already, and check out my Facebook page while you're at it as well. Like that baby as well. Put some comments on there too. And yeah, as always, guys, keep it random, keep it real, and keep it rocking. If you smell what random rock and reel riffs and reviews is cooking.